Is this Kid Joe? Is this Kid Joe?
Remember when we first met John McClane? Argyle picked him up from the plane and took him down to Nakatomi Tower at the Christmas party. And the terrorists were overzealous, but it was sweet when they killed Ellis. And with a little help from Alan, John McClane kicked ass.
Welcome back to Shat The Movies, the podcast where we answer the question, were the movies we loved when we were growing up really that good? Have you ever caught yourself thinking, why don't they make movies like they used to? Can you still remember spending your Friday night searching for the perfect movie rental at Blockbuster Video? Do you know what Blockbuster Video is? If you answered yes, then this is the podcast for you. I am one of your hosts, Gene Lyons, and alongside me is my co-host, Big D, Dick Ebert.
Takashio Yonde Kudasai.
Each week, we take a look back in time and decide if our favorite films still hold up. The movies we cover are chosen by you, the listeners, who generously commission the films you love. If you'd like to see all the movies we have covered, we'll cover one and choose one for yourself. Please visit chatpod.com and have a look. At the end of each podcast, we'll provide you, the audience, with the number of wipes each movie takes to get off your respective butts. So thank you so much for listening. If you have not already, hit that subscribe button and share with a friend. It's how we help the podcast grow. Additionally, subscribe to our sister podcast, Shat on TV, where we review TV series such as Westworld, Taboo, American Gods, Game of Thrones, True Detective, Lovecraft Country, and Watchmen. Find all information and past episodes at shatpod.com/TV. All that being said, Big D, what movie are we reviewing today?
So, Gene, before we get to tonight's movie, we have to acknowledge the commissioner, Joshua Rua, and his brothers, because this movie tonight is their 15th combined commission. And at this point, basically, they are programming the podcast, so we thank them for that. These are the guys who started us off way back in 2018. I think they were like the second or third commission we did. And they started us off with Eric Draven crawling out of the grave in The Crow.
Wow.
Then they immediately swung to the fairy tale perfection of Wesley and Buttercup in The Princess Bride. They made us appreciate how hot Steve Guttenberg was running around in his tiny jean shorts in Police Academy. Then they turned around and traumatized us with Buffalo Bill lowering a bucket of lotion to his big girl trapped in the well in Silence of the Lambs. Then he leaned hard into sexy vampire angst with Interview with a Vampire. They sent us to Miami with Chaos with Detective Lowry and Burnett and the Bad Boys. They emotionally wrecked us with John Malkovich playing a gentle giant who accidentally kills Sherilyn Fenn with his bare hands in Of Mice and Men. They even walked us through Mr. Miyagi grooming vulnerable children and tiny trees in the boiler room, then getting drunk and dressing up a teenage boy in questionable outfits in The Karate Kid. They took on Forrest Gump's accidental tour of American history, including that unforgettable college dorm moment where Jenny permanently stained her roommate's blanket with Forrest Gump's semen. And yes, they even made us sit through Chevy Chase, playing a Southern slave owner dancing around his plantation to Disney's classic Zippity-Doo-Dah, Zippity-Day with animated animals. And after all that range and those tones and those wildly different movies, their 15th commission lands us here, watching Christopher Lambert wander around Japan, drink sake, sweep floors, and somehow become a ninja. At this point, we don't ask why, we just hit play, and it is the 1995 martial arts action thriller, The Hunted.
Big D, if there was a Lifetime Achievement Award, it would go to these boys. And I recently was going through and cleaning up all of our social media accounts, going through all the messages and classifying these contacts into commissioners, prospective commissioners, friends of the pod. And I don't even know what category we would put these guys in. They, as you said, they are our chief programmers here at Shat The Movies. Joshua wrote in about The Hunted and said, "Greetings once again, Shat crew. Over the years, my brothers and I have proudly commissioned some of your most celebrated episodes." I don't know if anyone's celebrating our episodes, but sure. The Silence of the Lambs, The Princess Bride, The Karate Kid, Forrest Gump, true Shat Pantheon material. This is not one of those times. I don't remember when I first saw 1995's The Hunted, but I'm certain it was a random Blockbuster weekend rental with my brothers back when Friday night movie choices were made with zero research and 100% gut instinct. The Highlander in Japan, caught in a battle between modern day samurai and real life ninjas. Yes, please. Let's start with what works. The Hunted actually tries to somewhat believably tackle the question, fuck it, what if ninjas were still real? No magic powers, No throwing ninja stars from your toes, no neon leotards, just stealthy killers who blend in, mess up, and occasionally get their asses kicked. It's a surprisingly grounded take, and it gives the movie just enough gravitas to keep it from drifting into canon film's absurdity. The train scene alone is worth a rental fee for its brutality, not to mention Yoshio Harada's performance as Takeda, a man with Eastwood-level swagger. And then there's Christopher Lambert. Lambert has the emotional and vocal range of a comatose mute. In Highlander, it worked. He was mysterious, foreign, and surrounded by enough world-building, Queen ballads, Sean Connery, and Clancy Brown to distract us. But by The Hunted, Lambert's performance lands somewhere between last act Brando-level lazy and anyone associated with The Room level talentless. Keep the script exactly as is, swap in a 1990s Michael Douglas or Kurt Russell, and you got yourself an infinitely better movie, shaving off at least a wipe or two. As it stands, The Hunted remains a guilty pleasure. Not great, not pure garbage, just one of those movies you remember for a few great scenes and a whole lot of what ifs. I'm calling it 3 wipes as is, but 2 wipes are better with a remotely functioning lead who could throw a believable punch. Oh my God, Josh, you read my fucking mind, man. Can't wait to hear your breakdown. Thanks for all you do, Joshua. And Joshua, all I can say in response to your commission is I really thought maybe, just maybe, 2026 would be our year. I thought we're coming in hot, Glory, Contact, The Untouchables. Gone are the days of watching obscure and questionable commissions. It's just going to be Oscar-worthy masterpieces from here on out. But no, Joshua, you had other ideas. We know going into this movie what Christopher Lambert can do to a movie. We don't, as a podcast, have a ton of luck with ninjas. I got to be honest when I say I was not expecting to be impressed.
I disagree with everything you said. I think we've had great experience with ninjas. How many ninjas have like android ninja body doubles in hot tubs? Come on. How much Lambert? This finally, Gene, tonight was the final piece of the puzzle. We've been sitting for years doing our Christopher Lambert headshot puzzle, and there was always a piece missing.
It's a big headshot.
Oh, tonight, Gene, the puzzle was complete for me. We'll get into it. Some of the research I did on him, it makes sense. This man is a genius. There are like NFL quarterbacks, right, who are career backups. There's people who just sit there with a clipboard and for 15 years rake in a couple $1 million. You don't know their name. They're just there. You remember they were drafted back in 2010. Christopher Lambert has lived that backup quarterback life. He has turned his limited ability, he's not an outstanding or especially sexy man. He's not a great actor. He's not physically intimidated or gifted athletically. But this fucking man has made a career of kissing and just groping beautiful women, traveling the world. He's lived the life. So I'm glad. This is perfect, Gene. This belongs in between like Glory and Field of Dreams. Spoiler alert. This is a perfect Shat The Movies film. To Josh and the brothers, thank you very much. This is a perfect way for us to really get into 2026.
Well, The Hunted is a 1995 martial arts thriller written and directed by J.F. Lawton in his mainstream directorial debut.
It's a thriller. It is a thriller.
Christopher Lambert plays Paul Racine, an American businessman who by accident earns the wrath of a modern-day ninja clan in Japan. The film was shot in Nagoya, Japan, and Vancouver, British Columbia, Canada, on a $25 million budget, but only managed $6.6 million in U.S. box office. Most critic reviews found the plot cliched and the acting unconvincing. Let's hit the trailer.
He saw the face of death. And lived to tell.
You're the only witness to a murder.
Now, he is caught between the fury of the ninja.
Bring me his head.
And the wrath of the samurai.
It's between him and me.
Christopher Lambert Lambert, John Woon, Joan Chen, The Haunted. Starts Friday, February 24th at theaters everywhere.
Tech executive Paul Racine is on a business trip to Japan when he meets Karina, and they have a one-night stand. After they part ways, Karina is approached by Kinjo, the leader of ninja assassins hired to kill her. Karina shows no fear of dying, so Kinjo grants her final wish to show her his face. Racine returns and tries to defend Karina, but Kinjo decapitates her as his men stab Racine, hit him with a poison shuriken, and cut his throat, leaving him for dead.
For those of us, dear listeners, who were alive in this time frame, 80s and 90s, Hollywood and America had this strange fascination with Japan and the culture. It was exotic. It was, we couldn't understand it. Americans, we looked at it and it was, I just don't know. In Black Rain, you had the Yakuza. Gung Ho, you had them coming to America and we didn't understand their business culture. Even the Karate Kid Part 2, where they go to Okinawa and they go through this spiritual enlightenment. To Americans, Japan was like, it could have been another world. It could have been Mars for all we cared. So this movie delves into, just like Rising Sun or Black Rain, where you get an American businessman getting dropped off in Japan. And he's got to figure out the rules and he's like a fish out of water. And it's just so funny because today, Japan is just Japan, right? Nobody thinks of it as this exotic, forbidden place like this is Avatar. And we're talking about a foreign land and a culture that nobody understands. Why in the 80s and 90s did we treat the Japanese culture like it was extraterrestrial?
I mean, it makes sense when you think about it. Like Japanese products, they start coming into America in the 70s and the 80s, like dominating, like cars and electronics. And everyone's like, oh, these Japanese, like they're so efficient and the things they build are so reliable. And then you start looking at the culture and the cultural codes are all about like honor and discipline and so different from the American way and just how different they are from us. At the same time, like a generation had passed since World War II. So it seems like a perfect time for Japanese culture to be like the hot thing in the US because we're kind of over Pearl Harbor in a way and we're really impressed with all the stuff that's coming over from there. So, I mean, I get it. I see it. We don't really have the same thing with like the Gulf War. Not a lot of Iraqi cars here, like Afghan electronics.
No, but it was like ninjas.
That's the other thing. Middle Easterners, we don't have ninjas.
Yeah, but you have like
genies.
You have genies, and also you have jihadists. You have some fighters that are. You didn't get American kids dressing up as like a suicide bomber, but yeah, it was everywhere. It was video games. It was electronics. It was the cars. It was a mystical culture because we couldn't even conceive of the discipline and the restraint and I think it was the communication barrier also. I think it seemed so different culturally. And people, if you don't travel, this is a perfect example of why you should. Watching movies now, Gene, do you find yourself when a film is set in a place that you've been, it grounds you immediately and you somehow understand it a little bit better?
Oh, 100%.
That's how I felt about this as well.
Humble brag. Maybe that's why you don't think it's that exotic. Because me, as a person who's never been to Japan, I still think it's very exotic.
Oh, you'd love it. You as a person who loves structure and rules, you'd never come back. You would say fuck Chicago, and you would go there.
Yeah, but I'm also obsessed with New Orleans, where there are like no fucking rules.
You go visit New Orleans. You live in Japan.
Kill Phoenix, fuck New Orleans, marry Japan.
That's exactly
something like that. Well, speaking of fucking, I think we owe the sex scene in Tequila Sunrise a huge apology. It did have some hot tub splashing and spaghetti and sexy sax, but like that one, thinking back on it, it was more funny than weird. I wasn't weirded out by the sex in Tequila Sunrise. The Hunted, we get this sex scene right off the bat, and it's a combo of like taiko drumming, slow motion hot tub action, and like a bunch of recycled footage. Christopher Lambert's laughing a bunch for some reason. There's a woman's feet on his shoulders. Then we get no humping at all. There's no actual sex. It goes from like tub to after. And I can't decide if Racine as a character, if he's obsessed with Karina because they have this connection from the hotel bar to the tub and he actually falls in love with her because of like their souls unite or something, or because maybe it's the first time he's had sex.
I have a quick question here, because you said in the intro, you said it is a ninja clan.
Yeah.
Isn't it more like a ninja cult? Because they seem to hold some power over people, and I couldn't tell whether Karina was somehow sent there to set up, Lambert and his somehow sabotage the computer chip deal he was doing. I couldn't lay out or understand why this was going on, and then immediately she was like suicidal.
I thought she knew she was going to die because she left the Yakuza guy. And so she's like, I'm going to die. I'm going to go out on my own terms. Now, if you think about it, she's been a prostitute her whole life, right? A sex worker. So she was sold by her uncle to the Yakuza guy. She had to have sex with him, and then she leaves him. And I think she knew by leaving him, she was going to end up dead. So to empower herself, she wanted to have sex with a guy that she wanted because she wanted to. In essence, Christopher Lambert is the last item on Karina's bucket list before which is sad. Like, that's the last guy you're going to fuck is Christopher Lambert and his giant beluga whale head.
Yeah, that's not the way you check off your bucket list.
No.
He's not the last.
Do a Jean-Claude Van Damme.
Oh, without a doubt. But it might explain the way this goes down. You hint at it a little bit. So we're going to assume they've not watched this. This hot tub scene, it's supposed to be sexy, but it's awkward and weird. It's edited in a way that it starts off. There's a hallway scene where he's like, "Oh, I'm gonna leave now. Okay, goodbye." And she's like, "Oh, I have your coat." And he's lured back into the room. She tells him, "Hey, let's get physical." She takes his pants down, and he's wearing these underwear, boxers that have pigs on them. And she says, "What do you say? Oh, you like pigs?" And he's like, "Yes, I like pigs." And then it's a quick cut to her starting to disrobe him. Then it's a quick cut. She's fully clothed. She walks into the hot tub. Then Lambert is in the hot tub. He's giggling. They're kissing. Her breasts are out. It's like almost like a trip, like a hallucination from like Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas. It's a non sequitur. It doesn't seem like these things are happening in order. They're smiling, laughing, crying, having sex. You said her heels are over his head. Suddenly they're laughing, they're making out, nothing makes sense, and it's slow motion, and it's borderline comedy, or I'm questioning whether there's something in the spiritual realm happening.
I got a 2-part question for you, and feel free to decline to answer because it's kind of personal. And the first one is, you and Vanessa have been married a while now, you have a child together and all that stuff. Exactly. Do you ever have candles, hot tub, flower petals, champagne on ice, lingerie, that kind of thing? She ever get in the tub with her clothes on?
So I've learned long ago, where I've treaded into dangerous territory like this, Gene, that I will answer diplomatically. You have an infant child who can't move around the house.
Right.
The day that your daughter can accidentally stumble upon your grotto that you've just described in the bathroom or in wherever you're setting it up, no, it becomes more difficult as your children age.
Okay, second part of the question, and you answered that quite diplomatically. Second part of the question is, did you ever?
Oh, of course. Of course. I remember Vanessa seducing me and luring me to one of my early birthdays, I think 2003. She took me to a hotel where she'd already set up a path of rose petals to the hot tub. It was. Yeah, I got a bit of the bait and switch, I feel, but yes, it was quite the hunting, I should say. There was a lot of giggling, laughing, heels over your head, and yeah. You don't?
Well, I married a Midwesterner, They're very straightforward. They're very meat and potatoes. Let's have sex. Anything other than that is going to be considered weird.
In knowing the two of you, you have flipped the gender roles traditionally.
Oh, yeah.
She's more, I could imagine her after a good sesh of Krav Maga, being sweaty and being like, yes, let's do it. And you'd be like, no, but don't you want me to go tidy up? I'm going to go wash up in the bathroom. And then you go in and you come out in your silkies and you've showered and freshened up.
Actually, sir, I am a believer when you're gross is a great time to do it. Sarah likes to get clean first. So how's that? I think stinky Last of the Mohican sex is the way to go. Racine awakens in a hospital room, but police won't believe his tale. He's approached by Ijiro Takeda, the last in a samurai line, who claims Racine's life is in danger because he's seen Kinjo's face. The ninjas attack the hospital, killing several hospital staff and police officers, but Racine escapes to Takeda's family island stronghold. Takeda secretly uses Racine as bait to draw Kinjo out, leading to a train battle in which Takeda and his wife Miko kill the ninja attackers and Kinjo's lover, Junko. Big D, I know Kinjo's ninjas are supposed to be totally badass and deadly. That's the vibe this movie is going for. But they're kind of little pranksters. They're both proficient and a little naughty. Like they could kill you with arrows and swords, and they do that, but why settle for arrows and swords when they can wrap your neck with a chain and then gently tap your head against the wall, thereby, I don't know, knocking you out or something? Or better yet, my favorite move in the movie, why not stab at you with the grip of a sword so you grab that grip to control the sword, but then they pull the sword away and the grip slides off and, oh, there's a smaller blade and they poke you with it because ninja.
Well, I don't think these are actually like really deadly ninjas. These are more like a mix of like, it's a cult and a ninja. They're really not that good.
They're like Shredder's ninjas in like foot soldiers. They're like the Foot.
I don't want to like spoil the ending, but a businessman visiting from New York is able to kill the master of this martial arts. So I question if he is the apex, the proficient warrior, that I don't think the rest of these guys are going to be anything to be scared of.
That is because in Japan, we do not use the left hand.
It is, but Christopher Lambert, he's odd to begin with. The way he speaks, the way he just looks, the way he walks, his giant head, he's very strange. But he's in Japan, and he feels like possibly the worst representation and the last American that you would want to wander around Japan. So his character now has been ambushed in the hospital. He was mortally wounded in the first attack. He's bleeding. He's covered in bandages. He's wearing a trench coat. He's clearly acting deranged, erratic, paranoid. He pulls a gun in a crowded arcade. He shoots one of the machines. He then hops into a taxi with a little girl who I think is helping him at the start, but she's a little unnerved. She's a little uneasy. He hands the driver money covered in his blood. He then kisses the little girl on the head and he tells her, go home. Like, this is a normal interaction. Everybody around him is looking at him like this guy is, there's something going on with him. How the entire downtown Japan and Tokyo has not mobilized to catch this strange American wandering around with a child and covered in blood.
When we watched Die Hard years ago, we talked about how Bruce Willis is one of those rare action heroes in a movie who actually shows the damage that he's taken throughout the course of the evening, right? He gets glass in his feet, that sticks with him. He gets shot, that sticks with him. Christopher Lambert takes that to another level. He is moving at half the speed of every other actor on set, and it makes sense because the guy got, remember, poisoned by a throwing star, got his throat slit. What else happened to him?
He got thrown down some stairs.
Yeah, he's hurting, okay? But he plays it up to the point where like slow motion is his superpower. There's ninjas attacking the hospital. He is shambling down the middle of a hallway. Ninjas got him caught on a staircase. He just lies down. Like, that's his defense. I'm just going to lie down. Ninjas on a train. I'm going to take 5 seconds like a sloth and slowly aim my revolver.
Dude, maybe that's the fucking ultimate defense. You ever think of that? It's like, say you get into an altercation with somebody and you're heated and you're screaming, and that person is reserved and very calm. It seems unnerving. You're like, why is it's like that viral video of that guy going, hey, trust me, you're not that guy. You're not that guy. It makes you think, holy shit, that might be the guy. You don't know. Lambert's technique of being so slow, maybe it comes across as confident, tactically proficient, and just cold-hearted, or like stone cold.
I was in a jiu-jitsu tournament a few months back, and this guy who I'm going up against, he's like a CrossFit guy, and he's younger, clean haircut, clean shaven, built. Does like what are the Ragnar races and stuff like that. I'm talking to him in the bullpen before we go out there, and I'm like, yeah, exactly. Flower petals, champagne, and I'm like,
what did he smell like?
He did smell pretty good. I think it was probably Right Guard, like the 72-hour one.
Okay.
I realized that this guy is way more athletic than I am, and I feel like he's going to absolutely murder me. And I remember one of the early things that I learned in jiu-jitsu, which was when somebody is going to be faster and more athletic than you are, they're going to come at you aggressively. You attach yourself to them. And so he came in, and I just attached myself to him and just held on and didn't do anything for probably 40 seconds, which doesn't sound like a lot, but trust me, when you're rolling, 40 seconds is a long time when you're fighting somebody. And he got tired. And I was able to survive that roll. And he got DQ'd because he tried to slam my head on the mat. But point being, though, is that sometimes the way of the sloth, that is the way to success. That's how you win the fight.
Yeah, I think unconventional. You should. Wouldn't you also use his body weight, maybe his momentum, and then get him on the floor, just tire him out? It's very smart. Why didn't you do that to me? Did you try to do that to me when we fought?
Because this guy was the same size as I was. I mean, no, same weight, I should say. He was muscular. He was very muscular. I am not. You, sir, are, I don't know if you noticed, a little bit bigger than I am. If I attach myself to you, we would go out for like drinks. You might take me out to dinner. We could end up somewhere in Texas. What
would happen if you attached yourself to him and then you started to become either aroused or you just started to, would that unnerve an opponent? Is there anything
I think
illegal?
jiu-jitsu is so inherently gay that nobody really cares. But if I put my feet on either side of his head and giggled a bunch, that might have taken us to the place we needed to go.
I think it's a good strategy.
And hit him with the triangle.
Have you ever seen Bullet Train with Brad Pitt?
I have not.
So Racine has survived his first attack in the hotel after making love. Then he's attacked in the hotel. He kills a couple of the ninjas. Again, questionable talent level on those guys that he can kill them. He is now on a train. They're going to safety. The police officer, Junko, or is it Kinji? No, it's Junko, right? Junko and his partner
No. Junko is Kinjo's lover.
Oh, okay. What the hell is the name of the cop?
I don't know, Lieutenant Cop.
Yeah, come on. I thought
Officer Dude.
No, Karina. Karina is the lover.
No, Karina is the one who has sex with Racine. Junko is the one that has sex with Kinjo. She's the one where he's getting a bath.
No.
She's the one that shows up on the tree.
Kinjo will do everything in his power to end the executive's life. So Kinjo is the bad guy.
Kinjo is the bad guy.
Okay, fuck.
His chick is Junko.
Oh, my goodness.
Who are you trying to talk about?
The cop.
Which cop? There are multiple cops.
The master. The
one that gets the arrow through his throat?
The sword swinging.
He's not a cop. That's Takeda. He's a martial arts instructor.
Oh, I thought he was a cop. I thought he was...
No, he's not a cop.
So what about the woman? Is the woman a cop?
Miko? His wife?
Yes, I thought they were cops.
No, she's not a cop either. No, they're not cops at all.
Holy shit. I thought because they show up at the hospital, right? The hospital, there's 2 guards outside. Right. And they tell him, hey, you're safe. We've got 2 spotters across the street. They're watching the entrance. You have 2 cops outside. I thought they were like detectives.
No. So what happens is the cops are there. They don't believe Racine's story, right? That the cop, the lieutenant, gets like an arrow through the throat. One of the funniest parts of the movie. He says, there's no ninjas going around with swords and arrows and stuff. And then he gets an arrow through the throat and he goes, maybe I was wrong. And Racine, Christopher Lambert goes, maybe, takes his gun and goes off. So cops are dead. The doctor had gone to this martial arts instructor who is a samurai, Takeda, and tells him, and then Takeda's got a wife named Miko. Okay. But Junko is Kinjo's girlfriend.
Thank you. Dear listeners, please don't think this is a Roger Roper moment. It is very confusing. Because
they all look alike?
No, because the whole roles. Why would you just let Takedo and his wife in to see a man who was just almost killed in the hospital, who is now under attack or under threat, possibly by ninjas, you wouldn't let him in there. So that was why I assumed.
Because the doctor brought him in.
Even more sense. Why is the doctor bringing in random people into a man who's had his throat slit in a weird attack?
Maybe you weren't paying attention when you visited Japan. That is part of their culture.
Okay, so now I'm going to go back. Let's rewind it a little bit here. So now Takedo and his wife have decided to take Racine.
Taquito is a rolled taco.
Takeda and his wife now take Racine out of the hospital, and they're going to put him on a bullet train to safety, right? They're going to take him off to an island.
Yes.
Okay, so they put him on a bullet train, and this gets me back to what we were talking about 6 months ago. There's that fucking Brad Pitt movie, Bullet Train, where he's an assassin, and he's on a train with a whole bunch of other assassins. And it's like a John Wick. It's crazy energy. It's a lot of fighting. It's filmed really well. It's a modern action film. It's a lot of the John Wick factors. This fight in this train is not that. It's low energy. It's them kicking through like tinfoil doors. It's not shot very well. The action is kind of stale. It's almost, you can feel them like practicing their moves. And it started to hit me. I started to think, there's two answers for this. Either in the 80s and 90s, they were not able to shoot scenes the way they do today. They didn't have or see the need to train actors to learn to fight, to learn to shoot, to pull the Keanu Reeves and dedicate the hours to become proficient on film. Or they just didn't care. They didn't see the value in it. They thought this was okay. So as I'm watching this, I'm starting to think, why are modern movies so different? Did we start to expect it, or did we expect it once? It's kind of like a chicken and the egg thing, right? Did we want this and didn't know it, and until they could physically shoot the films this way, then we said, it makes sense. Because watching this, it is so bad that it can't be intentional.
It's a third path. You're right. It is a chicken egg scenario, but I think that audiences in the 90s, audiences in the 80s, they were not as familiar with realistic violence, right? It's an evolution of cinematic violence. So the fights had to be slow with big motions so people could follow along. Because think about it, the audience, they're not generally martial artists. They're not generally fighters. Same with, they're not generally people who handle firearms, right? As we've progressed over the years, more people are getting more familiar with fighting. They get more familiar with firearms. They expect a little bit more, and they've seen it in movies enough to start to catch on, right? But go back even further, right? Like early films. A dude would punch a guy and he would not recoil his punch. He'd just leave it out there, like so you could see, bam. Oh, wow, you really socked him one time. They'd punch a guy one time. That guy is fucking out, right? I think it's just developed over time. And you still see that in like the UFC today. Like people who watch UFC, not a knock on those people. A lot of them are not trained martial artists, the fans I'm talking about. And I want to say this without coming off as like being snooty here. But like I watch one championship, right? Because I want to see the finer points of a specific martial arts style, MMA included, but like Muay Thai, grappling, whatever. UFC fights, you'll see this all the time. It goes to the ground and people get restless. People want knockouts. People want striking. They want boxing. That's a lot of what they want. They don't want to see it goes to the ground and they get upset because they can't see the intricacy of what's going on there. But I have a theory that as martial arts develop and as people get more comfortable with it and more familiar with it, they'll start to appreciate all the finer points. I think that's what happened here is they needed to have big swinging swords. They need to have people getting stabbed in fancy ways. That's what's going to work out for them. Do I like it more? Absolutely not. You're 100% right. I haven't seen Bullet Train, but and I've actually not seen John Wick either. But I think that style of movie where you're getting to see like the Raid 2, where that action is really fast paced and well shot and complicated. I think if you took my mom and you showed her the Raid, she wouldn't get it. She wouldn't understand what was going on. It would be like you with Japanese people.
Oh, that's so wrong. I don't have a problem with Japanese people. I confuse African-American actors.
Junko?
It's the characters, not the way they look.
Sure.
No, it's African American actors I confuse.
I will say there's a scene in this movie where like Miko morphs into Karina, and I was like,
I thought also at some point that little girl was some spirit of the dead Karina.
oh, wow. I mean, you don't know she's not.
I thought she was the guide. I thought she was guiding him.
That's all this movie needed was also a sidekick, a little kid sidekick ghost for Christopher Lambert. So anyway, Big D, we got the bullet train scene. We got another scene that made me kind of step back a little bit, and it was our glimpse of the ninja hideout. Okay, so Kinjo, he's at the ninja hideout. He's got the two guys that were with him on the job, right? They failed to kill Christopher Lambert because, spoiler alert, he's unkillable or something. It's a soul. I don't know what's actually going on. But they go to their ninja hideout, and I thought, this looks kind of familiar. Do you think Ewok Village?
Immediately.
Yeah. For people who haven't seen this movie, it's the fucking Ewok Village, but it's not the Ewok Village. They have the same like lookout towers. They have the same like Robin Hood could live here sort of thing.
Yes, Robin Hood.
So I had to Google it. Ninja Village in The Hunted is in Canada. Ewok Village allegedly is in Northern California, but I'm not convinced that this is in the same place. I think maybe they snuck in on a day when no one was in the forest, and they shot this and they got away with it. And then when asked, they said it was in British Columbia.
We're giving them too much credit, and I think that's part of the problem. These are not ninja assassins. This is a cult who believes they are ninjas. On the bullet train, Gene, we get and I'm going to kill whatever that girl's name was.
Junko,
the one who's really devout and is at like three-way with
Kinjo.
Right. So she gets bested by the sensei on the train, and she takes her sword, puts it to her face, and goes, "They will not see my face, master." And she like cheese grades her face off of her skull. That's the type of group this is. These aren't trained assassins. These are devout
cultists.
No, like the devout, like the people who are like insane followers, the people who are
acolytes.
No, where you're like the most devout, like you're
believers,
the more radicalized, maybe, or the
MAGA.
No, stop it. These people aren't busy training; they're more worshiping and having three ways and washing the back of their master sensei.
I got a lot of questions about Ninja Town. Where do they get food? Like they're in the middle of the forest in Japan. I know people can commute to work, but when all your work is assassinating people, why would you live in the forest where people don't live?
Because you're hiding out, dude. It's the Bat Cave. It's the Ninja Cave.
But you have to train for killing in an urban environment. Prime example, right? Delta Force goes in. They get Maduro, okay? What do they do before they went in to get him?
Yes, that's true. In the military, we have mount operations. Military operations in urban terrain. So we have mount sites that you train on infiltrating.
Yeah. You think they built a little city in Ewok Village?
Again, you're missing it. These aren't ninjas. These are cultists. They're hiding. This is Waco, Texas. They're out in the woods so that the family members can't come back and get their family members out.
Okay, I mean in that way, it kind of makes sense then why like Christopher Lambert's able to kill them because they're not really that good.
Yeah, they're just misled people. It's kind of a sad tale. If you told it from their side,
yeah,
it really is.
If I were Kinjo, I'd have everybody in the sewers. Works in New York. It'll probably work in Nagoya.
Fuck. I got to keep looking up people's names when you keep fucking saying these things. Kinjo. Okay, gotcha.
Yeah.
Kinjo.
Do you ever just use their position instead? If I were a ninja lord.
Yeah, perfect.
Okay. Ninja lord. All right. During the boat ride to the island, Miko, the wife of Takeda, who's the samurai guy,
gotcha,
explains the history of the conflict between the two clans and the samurai concepts of courage and honor. On the island, Racine, that's Christopher Lambert, spends time with the drunken bladesmith Oshima, who is constructing a katana for Takeda. He's the samurai guy. Despite the language barrier, the old man teaches Racine, that's Christopher Lambert, about smithing and swordsmanship. Meanwhile, Kinjo, lead ninja, discovers that Nomura, the Yakuza figure, bought Karina, that's the chick that Christopher Lambert has sex with at the beginning, who gets killed, from her uncle, who we don't see in this movie, then ordered her death when she left him. Disgusted that he killed an innocent woman over such a petty grievance, Kinjo, the lead ninja, kills the man.
You are the best co-host ever, by the way. You're the best. Thank you very much.
Hey, I appreciate
that. When
when
you watch like a musician, you watch like a guitarist, like, and you're like, how can they do that? I just looked at you that same way. How could you do that? It's amazing.
You should hear me freestyle.
Oh, you just did.
Now, Big D, through all these plot points, the movie seems like a pretty like bread and butter 80s ninja movie, but this is the 90s, and I have to give credit where credit is due. They really did a good job with two characters, Kinjo and Takeda. They actually like made them a little bit complex. Kinjo was not the faceless ninja I expect in this movie, and you've alluded to ninja movies we've seen in the past. It's always a generic Japanese guy in mask, and he just wants to kill because he wants to kill. I thought Kinjo was going to be that guy. I thought he'd be sadistic. I thought that he'd be a flat character. Instead, I was surprised. We got a pretty complex character and a solid performance from John Lone. Some of you might recognize him from his award-winning performance in The Last Emperor. This is a real actor, okay? Kinjo is this layered guy. He prides himself on his work as a professional assassin, but he's also very superstitious. He kills his employer, the Yakuza guy, for sullying his hands with petty work. Like when he finds out the reason why he killed this woman, he's so pissed off that he kills the guy that hired him. And he has a weird code of honor where he recognizes the bravery, the courage of Karina, but at the same time, he will lie to your face because he's a ninja. Like that's what they do. They're masters of deceit and subterfuge. And then he's balanced by Takeda, who is this samurai who wrecks ninjas, but he isn't really a great guy. He's kind of a piece of shit. He uses Racine as bait. He gets all those people on the fucking train killed just because he wants to set up a trap for this guy that he wants to take out. And I realized, thinking about these two characters, that I would have loved a movie about their rivalry with zero Christopher Lambert.
I love the fact that you're really trying to find meaning and a deeper context of these characters and their traits. It's very nice of you to do that, but that's not this movie. Just because the movie doesn't know what it wants to be, and it has overly complex and confusing and contradictory plot lines and characters, it doesn't explain anything and make them seem more complex. To lay this out, earlier, Gene, you said, Racine is in danger because he saw Kinju's face, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So behind everything that's been going on is a 200-year blood vendetta, but it doesn't make sense, okay? Because when you realize that Takedo, like he just wants to know, he's like, I really gotta get him. I gotta get Kinjo. Why doesn't he just go to Racine and say, hey, you saw his face. Can you tell me what he looks like? I'm going to show you photos. Can we identify him? I talked the cops into it. Maybe he's got some way of identifying who this man could be. He doesn't do that. When later on he shows up to the compound, and this is the man who killed your family, and it's generations of family revenge. Kinjo just walks right up and is like, hey, how you doing? I'm just a messenger. No, I'm not suspicious at all. No. You don't recognize him. How about Racine was there? And you're like, hey, wait, look, this is your artistic drawing. This is him. Instead, they make this vendetta the basic plot of why he's after him, but at no point is he really searching him out. He's just getting on the train, killing random people, doesn't know who he is. It doesn't match up with his entire mantra of his belief in doing the right thing. No guns. He smacks it out of Racine's hand. This blood feud, it just seems more like sloppy writing and less deep meaning behind the film.
I mean, Kinjo lives in an Ewok village and he kills anyone who sees his face. It's not like he has like a Facebook account where you can go and see what he looks like. But I get your point. And okay, this is 1995. Racine comes into town. Karina gets killed. And how many other failed attempts has Takeda had at catching this guy? Like, how many people got killed in the process?
Dude, also, why don't you grab some of his henchmen and torture them and say, tell me what he looks like. Where is he? Feed me information. He's not doing anything to actually track him down. And the movie is just, I think it's just style over substance. We get like this whole set of like flashbacks that they intertwine throughout the movie. And it's giving me this really art school vibe. We're maybe tying it into the mystic, the strange culture of Japan. And it keeps flipping from like black and white, and they're trying to be artistic. We get it first after the assassination, where it goes to black and white, and then I think she walks into the hospital and she is only dressed in red. We get it where he's remembering the lovemaking, and it's a lot of slow motion and quick cuttings of the scenes, and there's flowers floating and ninja stars, and somehow like some slow motion lovemaking is mixed into it, and then Christopher Lambert screaming, no! This is a lot of movies crammed into one. They had a lot of ideas. They don't all work. I think a lot of it is just style over substance, and they just all got together and said, let's make a Japanese movie that we got Christopher Lambert, we got this star from America. What could we do? What do people expect to see?
It made me think it's like a jazz solo in the middle of a Kid Rock song. This song sucks already. What is this doing here? This isn't going to save it, right? And you're just wondering, who's it there for? And like, what do you think it's going to add? Then I thought, okay, it's J.F. Lawton's like first movie that he's ever directed. And this guy, by the way, he's a pretty accomplished Hollywood writer. Like he did, Pretty Woman. He wrote Under Siege and Blank Man, but he's only directed 4 movies. The Hunted, then he did a 1991 feature called Pizza Man, and in 89, his first directorial movie, he did a movie called Cannibal Women in the Avocado Jungle of Death. So it's not a big surprise, right? Directing is not his thing. Writing, obviously, he's a little more successful there. And I wanted to bring up another weird scene in this movie. There's a bath scene. You mentioned the three-way, right? So you got Kinjo, you got Junko, and then you got this other chick. And the chick's we see her pubes. All the nudity that you didn't get, Big D, in Mixed Nuts, you're getting here in The Hunted. And so there's a bath. So she's setting up the bath. You see her pubes. And Sarah just yells out, she's got a dick. I said, what? She's got a dick. So I go back, I watch the scene over and over again. Now, it's 90s video quality. She's definitely you see the woman's breasts. So clearly she's got breasts there. I think her pubes are just so plentiful and, let's say, coarse that it may look like a penis, but also it kind of speaks to the artful flair of this director where he's like, I'm not going to make the pubes sexy. They're just kind of there.
It was very Betty Blue. I see the little snail. Look at the snail. Let's wake him up. Yeah. I didn't even notice the pubes.
I would have much rather seen Kinjo fuck than Racine. I mean, we didn't see either of them fuck, but I'm just saying, if I had to choose.
There was so much man ass. There was a lot of man ass.
That wasn't like Mel Gibson level man ass.
No, but it was the guy with the drums. It was like a smash cut.
Oh, the Tycho guys, they always have their asses out though.
Right, but you don't have to like zoom in on it like that. It was right there.
That's one of those weird situations though, where I actually do want the guy to like have his ass out. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I think you should.
It looks good. Like it makes me appreciate the drumming more to see their butt cheeks strain. Yeah,
plus it's like they're very like there's no blemishes.
No.
If you're gonna
fine Japanese skin
perform that type, you have to have a great skin regimen.
Yeah.
Because if you have one or two like whiteheads or something, you're gonna be so insecure. I wouldn't go on stage with that. But his ass, it was pristine.
3 weeks after Karina's death, Takeda's new sword is ready and Racine's injuries have healed. Takeda is disgusted that Oshima has been training Racine, so he humiliates Racine in a friendly duel. When Racine announces that he wants to leave the island and return home to New York, Takeda has him imprisoned and alerts Kinjo of his whereabouts. Hordes of ninjas arrive, overwhelming Takeda's inexperienced samurai, but Takeda gets the duel with Kinjo he wanted. Kinjo is victorious, stabbing Takeda through the torso. Takeda, in turn, stabs Kinjo in the leg and dies.
This is a ninja movie at its core, right? Martial arts. Revenge tale, yes, 200-year blood feud. The sword play, it should carry the movie. It should be unquestionable. Instead, it's the biggest letdown. There's a scene where you're talking about the cult leader. He's daring his disciples. He's like, I give permission if you strike me down. And the guy comes at him, and I'm thinking this is going to be a badass fight. And instead, he's like slow motion, like, here I come. I could have dodged that. And he ends up putting him down. He cuts his stomach open 2 or 3 times. There's no blocking. There's no movement. Watching the early Jedi fights in Star Wars, which are comical, with Sir Alec Guinness, an old man with that back and forth blocking, is more defensive, like sword fighting technique. Here, it's slow, it's sloppy. And I'm just like, was there not an expert on set to say, let's speed it up, guys. Let's make this tighter. Because I believe they can do it. Why aren't they doing it? It's unintentionally comedic.
It really seems to be a contest between Kinjo and Takeda to determine who is the shittier Kenjutsu coach. Like, in the end, when we actually see the final fight between the two groups of students or adherents or cultists, we learn that Kinjo's guys, they're way better swordsmen. They kick the shit out of Takeda's guys. But to be fair, they're fighting children. Have you ever watched like actual kendo? Like actual Japanese, when they do it with the sticks, you know?
No, they're wearing like the face mask, right? So it's kind of like fencing, but with like bamboo swords.
Right, yeah. You ever watch that?
No, it's an Olympic sport, I believe, still, right?
It's really impressive. Everything's very fast, but the movements are minimal. Quick and minimal and tense, right? And we get a little bit of that in the final showdown between Kinjo and Takeda, where like they're kind of like, you know, throwing feints and looking at each other, stuff like that.
I would expect short movements, controlled, blocking. But here I'm about 5 feet away from you, and I'm like, and I raise my sword up, and you see me coming. I'm telegraphing it. I run at you like a bull. I swing at you. You cut me across the stomach. You don't block. I would expect you to be close quarter combat, very precise, quick moves. I'm fine with that. But here, you're telegraphing everything. And the movie doesn't know what it wants to be. It starts off, I'm thinking Black Rain. I'm thinking American businessman. He loves microchips, computer chips. He's in Japan. Then it's a ninja 200-year blood feud revenge film. Then it's Lambert running for his life. Then he's hiding out with some drunk blacksmith. He's cleaning up. I think he's training. Now he wants to become a ninja. There's no time for this. And then the movie changes again mid-scene. Then it turns into an adult Karate Kid out of nowhere. Christopher Lambert is being force-fed sake against his will. He's cleaning up. He's sweeping. He's hauling water. He's got hijinks with his drunk, like, new sensei. He's learning how to, like, do sword tricks and slice open apples. This is not a long-term plan. You're supposed to be hiding out and trying to plan a way to survive the day. And I don't understand what they're trying to do. Instead of building momentum to the end, let's get the revenge tale. Let's get the two masters fighting. It keeps rebooting itself. And I'm left wondering, what did they actually want to do? Was it they didn't have an idea for the full plot, or it just kept changing along the way?
And it's really odd for 1995. I kept having to check the date on this thing. This movie came out after Pulp Fiction. This movie came out after Forrest Gump. 1995. Fairly modern for a film. Movies had already become highly specialized, right? When you watched action movies in 1995, they weren't trying to do everything in the movie. I mean, yeah, there were some outliers, some hokey guys, you know, like a Jean-Claude Van Damme that were still trying to do that old style of action film. But most guys, look at Schwarzenegger, right? At this point, they had advanced to the point where it was a comedic action film or it was a serious, you know, dramatic action film. Earlier, 20 years earlier, 75 maybe, 10 years earlier, 85 maybe, you would try to combine all these things, right? They try to be romantic, action-packed, funny, dramatic, all those things in a movie. But by the 90s, the tone was much more intentional. So you're right, Big D. A movie this confused about its identity in 95 and trying to mix this many elements, it's just a mess.
And then you said you went back to keep checking the year. I had to keep going back and checking the timeline of the film. They say 3 weeks have passed. You know, he's had this time in the compound 3 weeks. But then they weave in that he's going to have the blacksmith make his best sword ever. Do you know how long it takes, Gene, for a Japanese master to make a katana?
I'm going to guess like 10 months.
10 months is a fair guess. It's anywhere from 6 months to a year to make a blade. Here, in 3 weeks, he makes a blade, then also trains up and has the young Karate Daniel-san clean up his entire workshop.
Buddy, fucking Racine gets hit with a ninja star that's got poison in it, and then gets his throat slashed. And he's up and running in 3 weeks. He's fighting in 3 weeks. Dude, I twist my ankle and I'm done for like a month. What's going on here?
These are all good questions.
Well, Kinjo attacks a helpless Miko, but is caught off guard by Racine, whom Oshima, that's the guy that made him the sword, released on Miko, that's the wife of Takeda, her instructions. Racine stabs Kinjo in the right shoulder, hurting his dominant arm. With his newfound skills and assistance from Miko, Racine manages to decapitate Kinjo before Oshima arrives in battle gear and is annoyed to find all the ninjas dead. Racine, Miko, and Oshima walk up the hill toward the family castle.
Did his sidekick remind you of Subakai or Subate?
Yes. Yes, 1,000%.
That's Subatai.
Yeah.
Maybe they're from the same world. It's the same universe.
Also, the second in command to Kinjo, I think that's the guy that was like Shredder's second in command in Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. I'm pretty sure. At least the same archetype. Anyway, as the movie opened up, Big D, I thought, Jesus Christ, why do they keep letting Christopher Lambert act when he can't deliver lines? Then it became, who the fuck decided Christopher Lambert gets laid in movies? And I thought the horrors at that point had subsided, but no. Now, in this final stretch of the film, we have to see Christopher Lambert fight. And I get that he is not as accomplished a martial artist as his co-stars, but I am not lying, and it sounds like Joshua agrees when I say that this man throws more of what I would describe as an emotional punch than a technical one. It is embarrassing. Punch comes from like chin level and goes directly out. There are threads about the way Christopher Lambert punches. It's embarrassing and honestly made me feel awful for Kinjo, because he deserved a better nemesis. This is a guy who can act and also looks fairly believable as a fighter and a martial artist. Christopher Lambert is out of his league.
He's not that guy. You know, the master's dead, and all of a sudden he's supposed to step up. We didn't see him trained. I don't believe that Christopher Lambert can fight. He's an awkward New York businessman who likes computer chips a couple of weeks ago. And just because he does some chores, he does some sake, he plays, what the hell was that? The Fruit Ninja. He's now all of a sudden able to take out the big bad boss. But this is where the piece of the puzzle came in for me, Gene. He is the Chase Daniels of film. Chase Daniels, 13-year NFL career backup, has made $41 million. Chase Daniels could cross your path, Gene, at work, and you would never know who he is. Christopher Lambert, I went back to look into his background and to see what made him who he is, right? So he grew up in a multilingual international family. He was raised mostly in Switzerland and France, so French was his effective first language. He didn't speak English even when he was in first film. We've covered it, to where he would learn the dialogue phonetically without knowing what it meant. He leveraged his exotic nature, his language, his accent, right? He's not an athletic guy. He didn't even take time to learn martial arts. He didn't even Van Damme it. He didn't even try. He just acted like European, and people said, ooh, he's kind of exotic and weird, right? He leveraged his entire career on that. You think about it. He started picking his films, and this is well documented. Lambert openly chose projects based on where they shot and how much freedom they gave him. His filmography was based on his ability to travel the world, get paid, and have attractive co-stars, Gene.
He's the anti-Steve Martin.
He is. He left the porch. He left the porch and went out. He is so self-aware about the criticism. He doesn't care. He became a leading man, even though he wasn't leading man material, and a cult star. There's never been an actor, I think, who's leveraged less talent, less looks, less ability than Christopher Lambert, he should be championed. He should be held up. What do they always say, Gene? That cheesy thing. Whether you can do something or you can't is both true depending on what you believe. If you believe you can do it, at some point, this man believed he was going to be a star, and he made it happen, Gene. Anything is possible. Anything, Gene.
His head is so big.
Right, Gene. That's exactly what I'm saying. There's no reason. I believe if Christopher Lambert said he's going to play in the NBA, he could do it. He could do it. This man could make anything happen.
Now's the time of the podcast we give our Shat score for The Hunted. The Shat score is our way of telling you how many wipes this movie would take to get off your respective butts. 0 wipes is a perfect movie. It's finally finding Kinjo. And 5 wipes is an absolute disaster of a film. It is dying slowly and with much pain. Big D, you go first.
Final takeaway, The Hunted. It doesn't feel quite like a complete film. It feels more like Christopher Lambert's travel itinerary. I think the plot's all over the place. The tone, it's a bunch of mini movies put together. There's training arcs that don't end up in some kind of earned final battle. He didn't learn a skill. He didn't come up with some revelation that allowed him to leverage his personal power. It's half-formed ideas that seem to be stretched into a ninja film, American fish out of water, but it's all about Lambert. It's Lambert being Lambert at the end of the day. It doesn't hold up. It doesn't compare to some of his other like total disasters, like Highlander 2. He's had some really bad ones. What was the one where he was like in a castle? Beowulf, or what was he in?
A Beowulf, yeah.
Yeah, he's had some always beautiful co-stars, always love scenes. So I want to give it 4 wipes. I'm going to give it 4 wipes as a film, but for Lambert, this man is a magician. We should do studies on him. He is an example of believing in your dreams, even when they don't make logical sense.
Big D, the only things this movie has going for it are Kinjo, Takeda, boobs, and some odd moments of humor that somehow work. Like Christopher Lambert in boxer shorts saying, "I like piggies." And Racine being told after an assassination attempt and Ninja Swarm that his life is in danger. And he literally asks, from what? Black and white dream sequences, as you mentioned, Big D. If you want to laugh at a movie while wondering how it was made in 1995, this is the one for you. I think I'm right there with you and with Joshua. I'm going 3.5 wipes for The Hunted. And with 3.5 wipes from me and 4 wipes from you, Big D, that gives us an average wipe score of 3.75 wipes for 1995's The Hunted.
So with a score of 3.75 wipes, that now ties this, Gene, down in the 331 spot. It ties it with some other film. I feel like this is really a perfect play for this. Hawk the Slayer.
Yep.
The Wraith, Tango and Cash, Deep Rising, Ice Pirates, Lady Hawk, Robin Hood Men in Tights, and Labyrinth.
Ice Pirates got done dirty. It's a better movie than that.
But, I mean, I'd watch all of those other films instead of this, but it's not a good movie, folks. It's not a good movie.
Not really. But it is a cinematic artifact. It matters. It means something.
Like, if you have, like, L. Ron Hubbard, if you can build a religion, like... Why Lambert? There's got to be some case study of this man. The things he has done. Is he the real life Forrest Gump to tie this all back together again?
I was going to say that Lambert has this power where it's like if I see he's in a movie, then I'll watch it because I just want to see what Christopher Lambert does in that movie. But that's not true. If this weren't commissioned and you were like, hey, there's this ninja movie with Christopher Lambert, I'd be like, no. I'm not watching this. Maybe that's what it is. He makes your deepest desires come true.
But you don't know what you would have been missing. So that's why this podcast is key, Gene. You would have gone your entire life without being aware of the Lambert effect.
Yeah.
Think about what you could be doing, Gene. That big-headed... Think of what that man has done. Why are we squandering our capabilities?
I can definitely throw a better punch.
100%.
Yeah.
But why don't you? Because you're lacking his confidence.
That's right.
Be Lambert. That should be our mantra. Channel our inner Sandy and be Lambert.
Well, Big D, that closes out The Hunted. What do we have coming up next week?
Gene, next week we're going to a very similar film. When an Iowa farmer, Ray, hears a mysterious voice one night in a cornfield saying, "If you build it, he will come." He feels the need to act. Beside taunts of lunacy, Ray builds a baseball diamond on his land. So, supported by his wife, Annie, afterwards, the ghosts of great players start emerging from the crops to play ball, led by shoeless Joe Jackson. But as Ray learns, the Field of Dreams is about much more than bringing former baseball greats out to play. Commissioned by Rob H., came out in '89. And this, I think, will be a controversial review. I have not seen this in years, but I'm coming into it already cautious about whether or not I think it's going to hold up.
Not to sway your opinion, Big D, but I have not gotten through a single viewing of this film without crying. So rock and roll. Well, thanks, Rob, for your upcoming commission. Thank you to all the Rua brothers for all of your commissions, including, I suppose, The Hunted. Thank you to all the commissioners who make this podcast possible. That concludes this week's episode of Shat The Movies. You should follow us on social media, share with a friend. We're on Facebook, Twitter, Snapchat, and Instagram at Shat The Movies. And if you don't follow us on social media, I am pumping up the social media volume in 2026, one of my New Year's resolutions. So if you used to and you unsubscribed or you never have, check us out on Facebook and Instagram and TikTok. We're at Shat The Movies. You can email us, host@shatpod.com, shop our Amazon affiliate link, buy our merch, or commission your own movie. Find all information by visiting our website, shatpod.com. If you'd be interested in B. Lambert merch, let us know. You can write to us, host@shatpod.com. Also, check out our sister podcast, Shat on TV. Review TV series such as Lovecraft Country, Westworld, True Detective, Taboo, American Gods, Game of Thrones, and Watchmen. Find all information on our website, shatpod.com/TV. Wherever fine podcasts can be found, including Apple Podcasts, Google Play, Stitcher, and YouTube. Be sure to subscribe. And if you stop by Apple Podcasts, please leave a 5-star review. It helps the podcast grow. On behalf of my co-host, Big D, I'm Gene Lyons. Join us next week for the following movie.
Extraordinary words for a movie that no words can capture. Newsweek calls Field of Dreams a magical and moving ride. So perfect it's like a miracle, says Roger Ebert.
Are you a ghost?
Kevin Costner scores again with a wonderful performance, says Pat Collins. And Gene Shalit calls Field of Dreams a masterwork of wonderment.
Is this heaven?
Kevin Costner, Field of Dreams. Rated PG. Now playing in select areas. Starts tomorrow at theaters everywhere.
I keep calling him Christopher Lambert. I gotta
Racine.
Yeah.
It's like where Sean Connery lived.
Yes, 13 Racine.